Why is the Strait of Hormuz often headlining international news stories, you might wonder? Well, it's not just a simple waterway. The Strait of Hormuz, located between the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman, is a vital artery for global trade and crude oil transportation. Over 1/5 of the world's petroleum passes through this narrow stretch of water, which is a mere 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. This slender strait is a major lifeline for countries like China, India, Japan, and South Korea, who rely heavily on Middle Eastern oil. And it's not just the oil-consuming nations that have a stake here. The countries flanking this strategic waterway, particularly Iran and the United Arab Emirates, have long recognized its geopolitical importance. Iran has even threatened to block the strait, a move that would send shockwaves through the global economy. Meanwhile, the UAE, along with other Gulf states, is seeking to diversify its economy, but still relies on the strait for a significant part of its income. The Strait of Hormuz, a slender waterway with an outsized importance in the global economy. This is where our story begins. What if Iran decided to block the Strait of Hormuz? Here we stand at the precipice of a potential geopolitical tinderbox. Recently, Iran has made a bold move threatening to block the Strait of Hormuz, a critical maritime choke point. This is no empty threat. The Strait of Hormuz is a crucial artery for the world's oil supply, with about a third of all seaborne crude oil passing through it. But why would Iran make such a move? It's a complex web of strategic and political motivations. Iran has long viewed the strait as a bargaining chip in its geopolitical game. By threatening to block this vital waterway, Iran flexes its muscles on the international stage, demonstrating its ability to disrupt global oil markets, and by extension, economies. It's a high-stakes power play that has the world's major powers on edge. This decision by Iran didn't materialize out of thin air. It's a response to a perceived threat. Iran perceives the Israeli presence in the United Arab Emirates as a significant security concern. The move to potentially block the strait is a clear signal from Iran that it won't tolerate what it sees as a threat to its sovereignty and regional influence. The international response to Iran's threat has been swift. Countries around the world, especially those heavily reliant on oil imports, are watching the situation with bated breath. The potential disruption of the oil supply could have far-reaching consequences for global economies, pushing up oil prices and triggering economic instability. It's a high-stakes geopolitical chess game, and Iran has just made a bold move. The world is now waiting to see how this intricate dance of power and strategy will play out. The potential blockade of the strait by Iran can send ripples across the globe, affecting economies and exacerbating geopolitical tensions. What could be the global implications should Iran follow through with its threat? Well, let's start with the oil. The Strait of Hormuz is a key artery for global oil trade. About 1/5 of the world's petroleum, and about a third of the world's liquefied natural gas passes through this narrow waterway. So if Iran were to block the strait, global oil supply would take a significant hit. This could lead to a dramatic increase in oil prices around the world and potentially trigger an economic crisis. Imagine waking up one day to find that the cost of fuel has skyrocketed, and with it, the price of just about everything else. But the ripple effects of such a blockade wouldn't stop at oil prices. Global trade would also be severely disrupted. The Strait of Hormuz is not just about oil. It's a major shipping route that connects the Persian Gulf with the Indian Ocean, serving as a conduit for goods and commodities from east to west. A blockade could stall the flow of these goods, causing a ripple effect on global supply chains and trade. Then, there's the geopolitical fallout. A move like this by Iran could significantly escalate tensions in the Middle East. Iran's regional rivals, such as Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, would likely see this as a direct threat, potentially leading to military confrontations. The international community would be forced to respond, possibly leading to a new conflict in an already volatile region. Furthermore, this could exacerbate existing tensions between Iran and the Western powers, particularly the United States. It's a move that could potentially isolate Iran further on the international stage and potentially lead to more stringent sanctions. The impact of a blockade on the Strait of Hormuz could be far-reaching, igniting a global economic crisis and potentially a new conflict in the Middle East. Where do we go from here? This is the question that rings in the minds of world leaders and policymakers. The answer is as complex as the situation itself. The road ahead is paved with uncertainty, yet there are a few potential paths that could lead to resolution. One course of action could be diplomatic negotiations. The art of conversation, the exchange of viewpoints, and the quest for common ground have often been the keys to unlocking even the most complex geopolitical conundrums. Dialogue between Iran, its regional neighbors, and global powers could pave the way for a peaceful resolution. Another possible route is international pressure. The collective voice of the international community could play a critical role in encouraging Iran to reconsider its stance. Economic sanctions, political isolation, or a combination of both could be the tools to bring about change. Then there is the potential for military intervention. This path is fraught with risk and should be considered as a last resort. It's a high-stakes gamble that could either restore balance or plunge the region further into chaos. Regardless of the path chosen, one thing is clear: there is a need for global cooperation. The uninterrupted flow of oil and stability in the region are not just Iran's concerns, but the world's. Together, we must navigate this complex situation with care, patience, and strategic foresight. The Strait of Hormuz remains a potential flashpoint in global geopolitics, as the world watches and waits for Iran's next move. Thank you for watching our deep dive into the Strait of Hormuz. We hope this has given you a new perspective on the complexities of global geopolitics. If you've enjoyed this video and want to keep up with our future analyses, we invite you to hit the subscribe button. Your support helps us to continue bringing you insightful content like this. In our next video, we will be unraveling another geopolitical knot. We'll take you from the warm waters of the Persian Gulf to the frosty expanse of the Arctic Circle. Here, another geopolitical chess game is playing out, with resources, territorial claims, and climate change adding fuel to the fire. So make sure to tune in for our upcoming deep dive into the Arctic's geopolitical landscape. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring. The world is a fascinating place, and we're here to help you understand it, one video at a time.